Welcome to episode 53 of the Power and Light podcast. We decided to switch it up a little bit today as my name is Josiah Wonnell, joined by Preston Graver, and we're outside because it's a beautiful day. We're enjoying the Tommy Bahamas and the outside and nature. So Preston, it's a beautiful day. Has that changed your day at all?
Well, it wasn't raining, so what more can you ask for? Sun's out, beautiful day.
Trying to enjoy it, and we're glad to be back on this. You know, we take a break, a lot going on in our personal lives, but it's back to the Power and Light podcast. Big plans for this summer. We're very excited, and I think the best way to get right back in this is by talking about not our local sports team, yet some argue is our NBA team. So in Kansas City, if you don't know, we don't have an NBA team. We used to have the Kings, and they moved and eventually to Sacramento, but we don't have an NBA team. So some people claim the Oklahoma City Thunder as their NBA team. And if you don't already and you're an NBA fan, it's time to jump on that bandwagon because they are headed to the NBA Finals, led by a 4-1 victory over the Minnesota Timberwolves. Preston, just looking over this 5-game series and their entire run throughout the playoffs, the Oklahoma City Thunder have been dominant. They're winning games not just by a little bit, but by a lot. And they have been extremely dominant, again, winning 4-1 over the Timberwolves. Based on what you've seen over this entire series and their entire run throughout the playoffs, what is your analysis of how they're playing right now and what their odds are to go all the way?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think they're playing great basketball, you know?
Yeah.
It's something that was expected, or should have been at least. A lot of people didn't think the Thunder were going to be good in the playoffs. They thought that it was just, you know, their weak conference and it was a walkthrough, but they're playing really well right now, you know. Shea's putting up 30-plus a game consistently, and they're all dishing it out. They got that three-headed monster there with SGA, J-Dub, and Chet, so they're looking really good.
They really are, and we'll get back to the three-headed monster in a moment, but one of the things that I kind of alluded to in my question was they're dominating right now. They dominated in the regular season. They beat teams by a lot, but they come into the playoffs and they're playing with a fire and an intensity that allows them. I think they're averaging 13 points, differential, which if you think about it, that is pretty significant. But they have had multiple games where they beat playoff opponents by 30 points. They're not just playing the Wizards or the Nets, bottom dwellers of the teams. What do you think about them has allowed them to dominate in this sense of defeating these teams by such large margins?
I think it's just their ability for anyone to be able to score at any point. Like, even if a team takes away Shea, then there's still 4 other guys on the court that can score at will. Like, any of them could easily go for 25-plus any day of the week. And so it's just a matter of what teams want to decide to take away. And so if they decide to take away Chet or Jalen Williams, then Shea goes off for 40. It's a give and take that you can't beat. And that's why they're beating teams by so much. And also, their defensive intensity is there. Like, they are holding shooters, they're letting the people shoot on the perimeter that they want to shoot, and then letting them drive at Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein in the middle of the paint, which is a scary combo to go into. Yeah,
I mean, that's the difference, right? Minnesota, they've got some firepower, and they've definitely got young stars, just like Oklahoma City. But what's the difference? I think Anthony Edwards, yes, he has some talent. And even SGA, has some defensive liabilities occasionally. Everybody does. Yeah. Every young offensive star does. But it is incredible how the effort that I've seen from Oklahoma City, how that's translated so much on the court. I think the best example, and correct me if I'm wrong, is Alex Caruso and the way that he's played the game and his effort. And it's so funny. It's such a simple little legal thing to say, but effort is so important in the NBA. And once you start to see more of it in the finals, in the playoffs, because it matters, and then especially in the finals. Yeah. But I think that's been the difference right now. I mean, do you agree? Have you seen that with this Oklahoma City team?
No, yeah. Well, and I mean, just the way they've come together as a team. Caruso was that addition in the offseason where they swapped Giddey for Caruso with the Bulls. Right. And Giddey was a scorer, right? But he didn't play defense. He really doesn't put in a ton of effort aside from the offensive side of the ball. And Caruso came in and was that glue guy for the whole season. I mean, he would steal the ball, and then he'd drive down and pass it to Shea, and Shea would score the point. Like, he is not a selfish player, and I think that's rubbed off on the rest of the team, and they became very unselfish.
The big three seems to be the formula for winning championships. Right now, people talk about let's build a big three, and we've seen it fail more times than it's succeeded, right? I mean, the Nets is one of my big ones, you know, when they got all those guys with KD and Hart. It's just like all of those guys come in, it's great, but they've got to stay healthy. So right now, you mentioned it, Oklahoma City has a big three, but then they also have glue pieces like Alex Caruso that are coming in and assisting them. And that's one of the biggest reasons why I think, you know, they should be the favorite to go win it all. And that's why they were the favorite at the beginning, because they are, or one of the top favorites, because they are a solid three-punch team. I mean, think about the other teams that have won championships, right? I mean, Golden State, obviously, when you know KD was there, you've got KD, Stephen Curry and Draymond Green. Like, you've got options. Klay Thompson, throughout the years of that dynasty, it changes, but they've got three guys, and Oklahoma City has those three guys. Why do you think it's so important to have three guys instead of just the one star that's carrying it?
Well, I mean, I think we've seen this with some of the other playoff teams that only have the one star. It's teams can double team, right? Teams can put pressure on the ball, then take the pressure off whenever someone leaks open. It's super easy to take away one superstar, and that's just the reality it is. But if you have, multiple people you can pass around, I mean, we've seen this in the playoffs, like when it was just Halliburton on the Pacers, they weren't like the best team, but then they bring in Siakam and he's able to do good. And then, Brunson, he's a one star for the Knicks, but then they bring in Cat and they look good too. So, I mean, it's really easy to take away one superstar, but when you have three, that's really difficult to cover.
So the Timberwolves are on the opposite side of what, the emotions right now that Oklahoma City is trying to figure out. They're preparing for the finals, but Minnesota's season's over. And they've got one of the league stars. Now, some people said at the beginning of the season, they have the face of the NBA. They said, well, Victor Wembanyama, great player, but he's from France. The face of the NBA needs to be an American. And that's the only reason I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander isn't the face, what people would say, because it's shifting, right? Because he's Canadian. However, with the NBA championship on, potentially in his future, but also at NBA MVP, he's starting to move into I'm actually the young star, and the young star doesn't have to be American. Anthony Edwards, I think, lost a lot of credibility in his terms of being the young star because, yes, he has jaw-dropping dunks occasionally, and he plays a very fun, very entertaining style of basketball, but he's got a few guys around him. The Timberwolves front office invested in getting guys like Julius Randle and Malik Bridges, but then you look back and you see how it works out. They had some struggles during the regular season. They made it in the playoffs. They got that 6th seed, but then they lost. They made it far. I'm not taking anything away from the Timberwolves. But what lessons can that Minnesota front office take from Oklahoma City as they try to build around a young superstar and prepare them to try to become a force in that Western Conference?
Yeah, well, I mean, with the players they brought in Julius Randle, right? He was really good. And then Rudy Gobert, they brought him in, and he basically just disappeared come playoff time, last few weeks of the season. So they really just need people around Ant that can, help him more than just passing him the ball and letting him shoot, right? They got to get open. He's got to rack up assists more. They need other scorers, and that's something that OKC did really well. I mean, Shai has so many assists every game, and Edwards, he has those games where he has a lot of assists, but it's not like he's passing the ball around like Shai because he doesn't trust his other shooters, and so he would rather keep the ball in his hands, which he's young, he'll develop, he'll learn a bit more. Shai's the 3 years older than him and starting to figure it out more.
I'm curious what your thoughts are on the face of the NBA debate, because it doesn't really matter. The NBA isn't selecting one person to be the face. They want tons of stars, and they have tons of stars. But they do control media coverage, and they do control who's on primetime matchups, and they want on their NBA socials for certain kids to see, certain individuals. I'm curious what your thoughts on the Anthony Edwards, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander debate is, because one is kind of, unfiltered and is super authentic, don't get me wrong, and is a star and is, a great for social media because he's got the odd-dropping dunks. But then you got the other side who, I mean, I'm not going to call him a great role model, but the way that he treats his teammates, the way that he plays basketball, I mean, he's a great, like you said, passer. Could he be the face? I'm curious what your thoughts are on if they came down to a debate between these two players, who would you rather have as the face of your league?
Oh, if I had to choose, it would be Shea. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. He plays basketball the right way. He does everything right. His media presence is fantastic. He does
He's
great in
unselfish,
press
yeah.
conferences, and he's very humble. He doesn't take praise, although at one point he was talking about him being the best player in the league and the potential there, which, I mean, hey, all for him. If you're confident, you're confident. But yeah, he's really just a team player, and it's really showed that on the court, and you can't really take anything away from that.
Okay, final thoughts as we look at Oklahoma City and their run towards the finals. What does Oklahoma City, regardless of their opponent, what do they have to do to go and win this title that this Oklahoma City team, this franchise, has been looking for a long time? They had the team to do it in 2012, and they had a star. They had the stars with James Harden, Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook. This is a completely different team. It looks completely different, and yet there's some signs of a similarity. What do they have to go do to go win a championship and bring a trophy back to Oklahoma City?
I mean, I think they just have to out-intensify the other team. I mean, the reality is they can score as many points as they want, but is the other team going to put up more points than you because you slip up on defense, you let something go? Are you sloppy with the ball, or you turn the ball over? Because I think that they can score every time they go down the court pretty much if they're taking good high percentage shots. But the reality is if another team's bringing more energy than you, then it's not going to be good.
Yeah, and I think the thing that I keep going back to is that point differential. Every team that is dominated in the way that they have throughout the playoffs, and there's not very many of them, has won the championship. It's just history. When you dominate teams throughout, they just beat in the Western Conference Finals. They just beat a very good Minnesota team by 30 points to close it out.
Yeah.
And that's just because there was some late buckets by Minnesota at the end.
Yeah.
They dominated them.
did.
And I think you mentioned it earlier. There was a little flu game there for Minnesota. It was great, that they came in, but in all reality, this was domination for Oklahoma City. And I think if it's a telltale sign of what's to come, Oklahoma City might run away with this.
Yeah, they easily could. I could definitely see them running away with the finals. I mean, they had the struggle with the Nuggets in the first round where they had to, go to Game 7, which they really didn't want to do. But, man, since then, they've come out flying to start the game. They have come out, scored very fast, gotten up on the Timberwolves, and that's exactly what they need to do.
And now they get a week to prepare, which is really nice, finishing off that series in just 5 games. So Oklahoma City on to the finals. Not our NBA team, however. We'll jump on the bandwagon at least a little bit, at least the NBA bandwagon, because, and I don't even want to go too far on this topic. We've discussed it, off camera, but in all reality, that Luka Doncic trade, that is what turned the spotlight that nobody was watching NBA in general right back on, and this is the perfect time for them because they want people watching. And so shout out to the draft lottery and to that trade for people being interested in the NBA, because I'm more interested now. And I know right around finals time, some of us big sports fans, there's nothing better than sitting down and watching a hopefully entertaining 7-game series. So thank you for watching Power and Light Podcast. Again, big things ahead, and we're excited. Let us know how what you thought of this video podcast. We're testing some things out. So it's a pleasure listening to Josiah Wonnell with Preston Graver. I don't have a quote.
Fine.
I'll cut that out. All right.